How do you guys keep the intensity up after a Minnesota series, an Ohio State series? You want to keep that going into the playoffs, but that was a lot, those last 4 games. How do you keep where you want to be going into the playoffs now?
Well, one of the areas we've tried to focus on, last 4 games is our ability to recover. And so, after Saturday night's game, it's later than we normally play. So, you're probably getting to bed later than you normally have in the past. And so it's your ability to recover. And so, Monday and Tuesday workouts are geared into some of the things that we want to do this weekend, but it's more about, getting your body back to where it needs to be in relationship to, getting ready for another game. And then I think it's not easier, but it's more manageable when you're going into the playoffs than maybe in a regular season where you've played some really challenging, difficult games. You've had some success, and then you're going to a weekend where everybody looks at it and says, "Oh, you're going to win these games," and then you have a hiccup. And so, with the magnitude of the series, we talked about it Monday in our meeting in regards to everybody's back at the starting line. And so, whether you had a great season, your season was good, it wasn't very good, you still have a chance. And so everybody, in the country, is preparing on Monday to beat the team they're going up against. And so, you look at our opponent, they just, swept Mankato. They had more wins, I think, this year than they've had in the past. And so, they're going to try to figure out how to beat us. And so our job is to respect our opponents and maintain what we've done for 4 games. And if we can play at that pace and that tempo, that'll give us a chance to win.
Mark?
Coach, along those lines, I guess, obviously you got some strong leadership on this team. You just talk about what you've seen and how maybe they go about, helping the process of making sure that, the team stays on point. What, can you take us behind the curtain? What are you seeing? How do they go about, helping you, keep the group focused?
Well, I think they can be helpful in a lot of areas, especially to our freshmen, and how they conduct themselves, away from the rink, how they prepare themselves for practices and early in the week to get their, bodies geared up and ready to go for the weekend. But I think, your ability to focus, there's, at this time of year, there's, some outside noise going on in regards to, the weather's nice now, and, you want to be outside and enjoying yourself. And, as I told the team Monday too, this is a 2-week tournament. And so before you know it, it's going to be over. If you're not successful this week, and then Saturday or Sunday it's over for you, and then you're going to be watching. And, if you don't want to have those feelings, then you need to prepare yourself and really focus in and keep things, manageable. And so manageable means like, okay, I just need to get ready for Friday's game. I don't need to worry about anything else. I don't need to look in the future. I don't need to have concerns about what ifs here. I just need to get myself ready to play my best game Friday night. And if you can get them into that space, then they come on the ice. And what we're trying to do is, mimic what we did last Friday against Ohio State, where we had a good week of practice. We got ourselves in a good space. We came out Friday night in that first period, and we played as well as we have all year. So can we duplicate that? Can we do that again with other things going around our lives? And so your ability to dial in and focus, and if you're successful this weekend, then you get a chance to play a game, another one. No guarantees you're going to get 2. You're guaranteed 1. And then if you do well in that game, now you're going to play for a trophy. So it's just getting your mindset ready for the task at hand. What do we need to do? How are we going to accomplish that? And let's get ourselves ready for it.
All right. And also, I was wondering, as you look back at Ohio State, were there any hidden gems there in terms of when you look back at the tape where, things that just maybe obviously weren't immediately apparent until you reviewed the game?
Well, I think, the thing that sticks out Saturday's game is our resilience, and, we were able to persevere and take a game that was, getting away from us and bring it back and making it manageable, and then giving yourself an opportunity to win it. And so, that's a credit to the players and sticking with it and believing in themselves, believing in their teammates. Part of it was the crowd. When they sensed that we needed some encouragement, we needed some energy, they came and provided that. So it was a special evening, but again, that's in the rearview mirror. What's ahead of us? What do we have to look forward to? And again, it's Friday night. That's what we're focusing on. That's what we're dialing in on. And a couple more days of practice, and then we get to go at it.
What's the toughest challenge about
this part of the season when you're seeing a team for a fifth, maybe sixth time, and there's not really, any secrets between these teams?
It's again, to me, it's what we do well, and can we do it well? And they're trying to figure out the same thing. What do they do well, and what can they do to, try to beat us Friday night? And so, they're working on that. We're working on it, and so it comes down to your players' ability to, free the space in your mind and going out and playing free, not worrying about end results, not worrying about making mistakes, just, playing the game the way you're capable of playing it. And then collectively, if you have a group of players and a team doing that, you're going to play your best game. No guarantees you're going to win, but it gets you into a space where you're going to be playing well. And that's where I want to go with the group. We have experience. Our veterans, at this time of the year, you lean on them, and they've been in these situations. They've won some of these situations, so they can lean on that experience, how they prepare for this upcoming weekend, and rely on things that they've done in the past, and hopefully collectively as a group, and our freshmen, as they go through the game Friday night, they get more comfortable as the game goes along. So that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it enjoyable. That's as we enter into March here shortly. That's why they call it March Madness, because your seasons are on the line. It's fun to have this tournament because it's a 2-week tournament, and some teams are in a position that they're going to get another game after this 2 weeks, but it's a 2-week tournament, and that's the space you're in. And so I got to win the first game to get to the second one, and then if I can get to the second one, then I'm going to get to the third one. If I get to the third one, then I'm playing for a trophy. So our whole season is 34 games, multiple months, and when you start the season, the end looks like it's way down there. It looks like a long par 5, and it's going to take me 3 to get there because the wind's blowing in my face, and it just seems like it's going to take forever to get there. But here we go. Now we got this short window. You can see the end because it's right around there. A week from Saturday, somebody's going to be our playoff championship. So do we want to be part of that?
I can go? Yeah. Okay. You talked about the mental side of the postseason, but I'm curious about the physical side on the game. Is it, obviously more intense? Is it faster pace? How do you handle that part?
Well, it's just a different level, whether it's faster pace or, just the magnitude of the games have more meaning than a lot of our regular season games because, if you're a one and done, then at the end of the game, if we've lost, my season's over and I don't get to do this again until next September. So that part of it and the meaning of it just magnifies it. And so the games become more intense, they become more meaningful. And the teams that end up winning, the reward is bigger.
Have there been any points this season where you've needed Britta to step up and say something, and did you have to ask her to do that, or did she know to do that on her own, I guess?
I would say probably a little of both. I think in any season there's going to be some points within it. That there'll be some adversity in your locker room, there'll be some uneasiness, there'll be some storming, as I call it, and it's like the weather. Like today, it's beautiful, boy. Get outside, 71 degrees, and then wake up tonight about 1 o'clock when it's snowing and it's about 25, so you get a contrast in a short period of time. The season of athletic team is no different, especially if it's a 2-semester sport where, if you have a season where everything's been great for that entire 132 days that we're together, I mean, that's unusual. And so I think in some of those scenarios, it's okay because you grow from those type of situations. And if you don't have them, maybe you're not going to be as strong because of it. And so, Britta, I think, has been experienced. She doesn't like a lot of confrontation, I would say. But, when something needs to be said, she's comfortable in her own skin. So if I need to do something and I need to say something, she's comfortable doing it. You don't want to do it a lot. If you're doing a lot, then you got other issues going on. And I think part of being a leader is how I conduct myself. So if things aren't going for me personally, how am I dealing with that? Am I still showcasing myself as a competitive athlete? Putting the team ahead of me, doing things to maybe work out of a slump or work out of a situation where people are watching. And so I think it speaks volume of how you conduct yourself away from the rink, even in a game situation when something happens that, you're going to get a reaction. What kind of reaction am I going to get? And so it's like me as a coach, if I react crazy and on the bench and I start doing things that are, unproductive, people are going to take hold of that. It's going to go be like a wildfire on my bench, and now people are going to react in different things. So I think our actions speak loudly, and sometimes I have to verbally do it, but other times I can just conduct myself in a positive way.
Can I just follow up on that real quick? Thanks. I wonder about the second intermission in the second game at Duluth, because you're down 4-1. You're at a point where there's some pride there that's involved, I'm sure. Did she step in anything there? Or have to do
You'll
anything?
have to ask her.
Okay, I didn't know if you did or she did. or
Male
any-
coach in a female locker room, I'm not in there a ton, but again, it's similar to what, the first and second period was here against Ohio State. And so part of my job is to recognize some things, and then what adjustments can we make? What things can the team do to get themselves back in the game? And so, sometimes it comes down just to digging a little deeper and playing a little harder and making that decision before you go out. And that's what we did between the first and second period against Ohio State. It's like we're at a crossroad. We can go left here and have the game continue the way it's going and probably end up 4-5-6-0 if that's what we want to do, or else we want to take a right here and decide that, hey, no, we want to make a game of it. And can we get the next goal? Because that's going to be a big fuel. If we can get that next goal, that can start something. And we were able to do that in a short period of time. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now we got a little excitement. The crowd gets into it. Now it becomes a hockey game. But those are choices you have to make prior to going on the ice. Similar to Duluth, you're down by, 3 goals. And it's like, can we get the next one? And that's the big thing. And then all of a sudden you get the next one, and then you get one, 20 or whatever, 30 seconds later, and now everybody starts believing again. So it's choices you make, and in between periods, you can recalibrate and refocus and decide to make some changes. And sometimes it works, and other nights, the other team might just be better than you.
You mentioned leaning on veterans and your team, your ones who have plenty of ice time. What do you do with your youth on your team, and how do you use that as a benefit going into the postseason? They don't have a lot in hours on as far as age, but how do you use that as a benefit for your team?
I think the big thing is just, they've progressed, they've made improvement, they've played in a lot of difficult situations and challenging games and done well. And for most of them, they've had very good freshman years. And so now you're going into a space where, don't think too much. Don't overanalyze things. What have you done so far to have a good freshman year? And that's what you need to continue to do. And we don't have a lot of players right now, so our roster and our depth isn't where you'd like it to be, so they're going to play. And so I think Friday night after, a shift or two, it might have the same feelings as, back in September when we played Lindenwood, and all of a sudden, they go through their first game as a freshman and say, oh, okay, that was all right. And so hopefully they're in a better place right now. They're in a better space, and that, they can get on the ice and not worrying about, oh, this is my first playoff game. I should be nervous, or I'm anxious about something. It's like, no, you're a veteran in our eyes. You've played a lot of minutes. You've played a lot of situations. You've scored a bunch of goals. And so go play like you've played up to this point. And if they can do that and just eliminate all this noise or overthinking or overanalyzing, they'll play up to their capabilities, and that's all you can ask of them.